Greetings. Thank you for joining us today for our second Wine Country virtual event featuring the well-known and respected Alameda County Supervisor, Scott Haggerty. I'm Dawn Argula, CEO of the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to Amos Productions for producing this event. Amos has been our lifeline to connect with the outside world during COVID. And thank you to Garay Vineyard and Chef Abe Amari and owners, the Molinaro family, for hosting the Amos studio. Incorporated in 1937 and previously operating at least as early as the 1920s, the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce is a membership organization. The Chamber proudly represents a cross-section of the economy that includes industries in every sector: public, government, private, small, medium, and large businesses, nonprofits. Membership includes 2 national laboratories, education, agriculture, manufacturing, restaurants, retail, hospitality, and more, representing about 20,000 jobs in the Livermore Valley. 20,000 jobs, 20,000 families. This chamber is powered by a strong team: Martha Espinosa, Christy Malsack, Jeannie Haig, and our new addition, Saye Amari, and our recently departed to continue their higher education, Laura Rambo and Olivia Howe. We are also powered by an amazing and dynamic board of directors led by our chairman, Harold Roundtree, CEO of Uncle Credit Union, Vice Chair Sherry Souza, independent woman broker, Treasurer Jody Amos of Amos Productions, and Jeannie Haig of Webb Bearings, plus 19 other individuals representing 19 amazing and dynamic businesses and organizations in the Livermore Valley, providing guidance and leadership to this chamber. The core duty of a Chamber of Commerce is to represent the interests of the business community. A strong economy supports strong communities, and the COVID-19 pandemic is our moment. Today, we are challenged as never before in recent memory. Today, the term shared sacrifice takes on new meaning as every sector of the economy is impacted by this virus. Essential services stretched thin as they respond to increased demand. Property owners, landlords, utilities, financial institutions, local and state government, as they defer or suspend payments, the event planners, entertainment venues, restaurants, retail, wineries, tourism, all and more, experiencing deep drops in revenue and pain. Even in the chamber operation, we've been affected as we've endured cuts in salaries and hours. And yet, the chamber team continues to deliver on our commitment, expanding our brand beyond our membership to include all businesses in the Livermore Valley, with our shelter-in-place, SIP, weekly e-announcements, and livermoreupdates.com website in week 1 of the pandemic. And a shout out to Tom Petty and his digital marketing services for setting that up. All of this to support businesses. We work with our partners at the City of Livermore and the other 4 Tri-Valley cities, the Wine Growers, Livermore Downtown, Inc., Visit Tri-Valley, the Tri-Valley Chamber of Commerce Alliance, and so many others, as we have learned to lean in to meet the needs of business and our communities to sustain during the pandemic. To our business community, we see you, we hear you, and we stand with you. We got this. It's messy, but we got this. But yet all of us, in spite of the sacrifices, continue to support one another and our community. Our restaurants, including Garay Cafe, working with White Castle Tours, provide meals or groceries to organizations to feed our seniors, families, and unsheltered, as well as our first responders and healthcare workers as they show up every day, serving and protecting our communities. Thank you to our leaders in government and public health who protect, support, unite, and lift us up during this time of need. Thank you to our essential workers, healthcare, first responders, food providers, postal workers, utility and transit workers, teachers, and others. And a special thank you to our firefighters for facing danger to protect our persons and property during this terrible wildfire season. Thank you to all of you for your personal sacrifices to keep us safe. In the words of Mr. Rogers, when facing a crisis and when fearful, look for the helpers. We are the helpers. and you are the helpers, and we are rich with helpers. There is no question that we will weather this storm. But before I close, I have a few reminders. Vote. By or on November 3rd, exercise one of the most valuable rights and privileges that we have as Americans. Wear your face coverings, physical distance, and wash your hands. Help us beat COVID-19 and bring our businesses back full strength. Be kind, be respectful, be mindful of others. Together, we are Livermore Valley strong. Together, we are California strong. And together, we are United States of America strong. Thank you. And now, I'd like to introduce you to Harold Roundtree, our chairman of our board of directors.
Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us today as we welcome Alameda County Supervisor Scott Haggerty for a return engagement on the chamber stage. Thank you, Scott, for your leadership over the last 24 years and for supporting and advancing policies and projects so critical to the economic vitality here in the Livermore Valley and throughout Alameda County and the Bay Area region as a whole. We look forward to your comments as you look back on your distinguished legacy. But before we get started, Scott, I have a few acknowledgments to make. Our elected leaders have a major role in keeping our economy strong. Thank you to those that are participating today, Livermore Mayor John Marchand and Vice Mayor Bob Warner, Livermore City Council members Bob Carling and Trish Morrow, Fremont Mayor Lily May, from the Livermore Area Recreation and Parks District, Board of Directors Chairwoman Jan Palachek, Director Mary Alice Faltings, David Furse, and Beth Wilson. The Livermore Chamber of Commerce 83-year legacy that you just heard Don mention of progress is supported by members and its sponsors. The 33 members of our Chairman Circle underwrite and support the work of this chamber. Thank you to all of our Chamber Circle members. We're bringing you today's virtual event due to the support of our event sponsors. This cannot happen without them. And they include Chevron, Tri-Valley Conservancy, Altamont Courier Express, and Stanford Healthcare Valley Care. Now we are going to hear from our cabaret level sponsors. Denise from the Stanford Healthcare Valley Care.
Hi, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Hi, this is Denise. So on behalf of Stanford Healthcare Valley Care, I would like to thank Scott Haggerty for his service to the Tri-Valley since 1996. We are so appreciative of all of his support throughout the years, including most recently, the county's support of the COVID-19 regional testing site at the Alameda County Fairgrounds. This is a great example of how our community partners joined efforts, and our community partners being the cities of Livermore, Pleasanton, and Dublin. We all joined efforts in order to provide such an important resource to our residents. So thank you again.
Thank you, Denise. And now a word from Chevron.
To pursue the elusive, while also capturing the possibilities, even something like CO2. Over the last decade, Chevron has spent over $1 billion on carbon capture projects and is investing in startup companies working to transform carbon into new forms of energy.
Thank you, Chevron. Now we turn to our feature program. We are pleased to welcome Scott Haggerty and his co-stars, Tim Sobrante, Director of Strategic Initiatives for Innovation Tri-Valley, and Roberta Gonzalez, formerly with CBS KBIX and now heading up Roberta Gonzalez Productions. Now, here is Tim.
Good afternoon. I'm honored to have this opportunity today to introduce our Alameda County Supervisor, Scott Haggerty. Supervisor Haggerty has served for nearly 24 years with distinction, filling the wide-ranging and impactful role of Alameda County Supervisor for District 1, but going above and beyond every step of the way. His longtime colleague, Supervisor Nate Miley, has said, "Scott always steps up. In the more than 20 years I have known him, he has not missed an opportunity to serve, not just his district, but the entire Bay Area region." This is reflected in the many varied boards and commissions on which he has taken a leading role and serves. Scott is a two-time chair of the 9-County Metropolitan Transportation Commission and has been chair of the Alameda County Transportation Commission and or its predecessor agencies 11 times over the last 2 decades. Scott is credited for playing an instrumental role in the opening of the Warm Springs Bart extension and advancing the proposal for further expansion into Santa Clara County. Scott has initiated a legislative proposal that resulted in the formation of the Tri-Valley San Joaquin County Transportation Authority, which is delivering the Valley Link Rail Project and has been chair of the board since its inception. Scott was a founding member of the ACE Board, the Livermore-Amador Valley Transit Authority, LAVTA, and the Tri-Valley Transportation Council, and he is a current vice chair of the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority. At the national level, Scott represents Alameda County at the National Association of Counties, where he previously served as chairman of the Transportation Steering Committee. He has also served on the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, BACMed, and the Association of Bay Area Governments, ABAG, throughout most of his tenure, as well as the Oakland-Alameda County Coliseum Authority. In short, Scott has worked tirelessly to serve his district. He has served on all of these formidable boards and commissions, representing the interests of our district, the Bay Area, and beyond. But there is proof positive of his effectiveness all around us, including the vast gold shovel collection in his office. Scott has broken ground and cut ribbons on far too many projects to recount, for BART stations, the I-580 and I-680 hot lanes, and even the new span of the Bay Bridge. Just a few that give testament to his leadership. A new 500-space BART parking garage to complete the Dublin Transit Village will open in 2022, much due to his tireless efforts and commitment. Scott has modestly noted that all of the added responsibilities he has taken on are important to his mission as a supervisor. But if nothing else, he has said, "They put me in the right place at the right time where I've been able to readily discover resources to advance innovative projects and programs that will benefit the district." A case in point are the Air District funds he helped to secure for Clean ACE locomotive engines and for the LAFTA Shared Autonomous Vehicle Program. LAFTA Executive Director Michael Tree has said, "The SAV project reflects his innovative, can-do spirit of leadership. It's all to Scott's credit. He brought this very innovative idea to us, got it funded, and made it happen. I think it will have a dramatic impact on our future system in the years ahead." In total, Scott is credited with amassing more than $2 billion of transportation infrastructure improvements in District 1 for roads, highways, and public transit. Most notably, Scott was recently awarded the prestigious California Transportation Foundation Person of the Year Award in recognition of excellence demonstrated in a long career of leadership in advancing transportation infrastructure projects and many contributions being made to bettering the lives of all Californians. When receiving this award, Scott remarked, "For many, transportation is more than getting from point A to point B, but a vehicle to opportunity and a chance to have safe and affordable choices about where they can live and work. It supports equality, connects us, and gives us many the hope for a better future." But Scott's efforts go far beyond transportation infrastructure. He has pioneered efforts to combat climate change, advancing an expansive county solar program from day one of his first term. Thanks to much of his advocacy, Alameda County facilities now generate the most solar energy of any local government in the United States. He has been a champion of sustainability and the creation of green energy jobs. He founded EBCE, a new electricity supplier in Alameda County, providing cleaner, greener energy at competitive rates to its customers through the purchase of solar, wind, and renewable hydroelectric energy. He took a huge risk on this effort 5 years ago, borrowing millions from the county, said EBCE Executive Director Nick Chassett. EBCE is now profitable and reinvesting earnings back into the community to create local green energy jobs, local programs, and clean power projects. Scott's bold vision and leadership will be exponentially felt for many years to come. Scott also brought Tesla to Fremont, adding more than 10,000 jobs to our district and a total of 50,000 jobs throughout California when supply chain jobs are taken into account. Scott also helped to bring Gillig to Livermore. It is the second largest transit bus manufacturer in North America and the last local bus company wholly owned and made in America, producing an estimated 1,800 buses a year. At a time when manufacturers are moving out of state or even out of country, it's an incredible feat to have negotiated deals to have these companies in District 1, notes former Fremont Mayor Bill Harrison. Scott clearly understands the importance of generating good-paying manufacturing jobs for our workforce. Scott is proud of the county's AAA bond rating from each of the big three rating agencies, Fitch, Moody, and Standard & Poor, and he played a key role in achieving this rating. Alameda County was one of only 2 California counties, along with San Diego County, to attain this rare triple designation last year. More than 200,000 acres are designated for agricultural purposes in District 1, including more than 2,500 acres planted in wine grapes. The region is also home to cattle ranches, owned and operated for generations by local families. Scott has said, "I clearly have a responsibility to protect and preserve our rich agricultural heritage, as we all do." 4-H is one of the organizations in which Scott has taken a special interest throughout his 6 terms, and photos on walls throughout his Pleasanton office give testament to his very hands-on involvement. Last year, Scott sponsored a ribbon-cutting event for the opening of the Marissa Hunt Agricultural Education Center, an 8,000-square-foot facility open to all Alameda County FFA and 4-H club members who raise animals for the Junior Livestock Show held annually at the Alameda County Fair. Scott said that he established the center to promote the county's rich agricultural heritage, sharing it with youth who he hopes will link it to generations to come. David Kent, chairman of the Tri-Valley Conservancy, has noted, "No one has worked harder or shown more commitment to the Livermore Valley wine country than Supervisor Haggerty. Scott is a visionary on how vineyards can be both economic drivers of our agricultural industry and natural greenbelts, protecting urban growth boundaries around Tri-Valley townships. He has doggedly worked for the resources needed to fund the best equipment, the finest facilities, and the most state-of-the-art training for our firefighters and public safety personnel. In fact, Scott secured more than $20 million in funding for a new state-of-the-art fire academy training center. Scott also secured the funding for a state-of-the-art sheriff helicopter that will allow a rapid and effective response to emergencies throughout the district and Alameda County. He has said that marshaling the resources to help our most vulnerable is one of the most important things he does on a daily basis. This is most certainly reflected in his support and leadership in advancing programs in the district to combat homelessness and address underlying causes. He has been a champion for mental health services in the county, especially for our youth, through school-based health services. Scott also has a big heart for people, each year supporting dozens of nonprofit organizations in the district that are in need of assistance. He obtained $23 million from the Altamont and Vasco landfills to make the Bankhead Theater a reality. Perhaps the impact of his legacy has been best summed up by Innovation Tri-Valley founder Dale Kay. I believe Scott's spirit of collaboration is perhaps the cornerstone of his leadership and effectiveness as a county supervisor, combined with a deep, empathetic spirit. He has had the vision to think boldly and embrace big new ideas that enrich this region, but at the same time, it is clear that meeting the needs of immigrants, the homeless, and the hungry is his greatest metric of success. Scott has had an immeasurable impact on us all in just about every corner of the district, and the impact of his leadership will be realized for many generations to come. Governor Newsom spoke to his impact 4 years ago when swearing him in for his 6th and final term as our District 1 supervisor. He told the story of torrential rains in Death Valley in 2004 that resulted in fires blanketing the typically stark landscape the following year. It turns out Death Valley wasn't dead after all. It was dormant, said Newsom. The seeds of possibility had been planted years and years before, waiting for the right conditions to come along. When the right conditions came along, success becomes irresistible. Leadership is all about planting the seeds for success to become inevitable. Supervisor Haggerty, you have created the conditions here in our valley for people to flourish for many years to come. We thank you for your leadership and thank you for honoring us with your presence here today. At this time, I'll turn it over to Supervisor Haggerty and our esteemed moderator, Roberta Gonzalez.
Thank you so much, Tim. That was just amazing to learn all the wonderful deeds and all the passion that Supervisor Scott Haggerty has had for the Tri-Valley, and also that does include Livermore. It is such a great honor to be part of such a special day, and I keep looking over at you, Scott, because it's just amazing, your career. It's wonderful to be a part of this Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce virtual wine country event, where we will continue to recap all of the dedication and the hard work and the passion of Supervisor Scott Haggerty. Supervisor Haggerty will address some of the basic state of the county issues, mostly focused on the immediate crisis level issues, but he would like it to be a little bit more unplugged, a little bit more fun. And this is an assessment where he can candidly discuss some big overarching issues and things he would change if he could. Now, this is the opportunity for Supervisor Scott Haggerty to say what he really wants to say on his way out. So I'd like to begin with the very first question, which addresses our immediate concern right now, something we've never lived through before in our lifetimes, is the ongoing pandemic. And as a small business owner, having lived here in the Tri-Valley for 26 years and owning my own company now, and also as being a part of the Tri-Valley Restaurant Group, helping them get back on their feet, which encompasses Dublin, Livermore, and Pleasanton, I'd like to ask you, Scott, can you provide us with some information about the county's response to the pandemic, efforts to keep us all safe, and of course to support our economic recovery?
Okay, thank you, Roberta. I'm so happy that you're the one asking the questions today, and you're right. I hope to be a little bit more unplugged than normal. Having said that, I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this event, and Dawn Argula. Dawn was my chief of staff for a while, and she decided that it was time to move on to something else, and I'm just so proud of the job that she's done here at the Chamber and all the hard work she's done. And Amos Productions, thank you very much. This has really been a top-notch production, and I feel really relaxed at this point. Maybe because I'm sitting across from you, I don't know, but it feels good, and we'll be fine today. Before I really get into the pandemic, I'd just like to say that this last year has not gone like I thought it was going to be. I had some projects that were in the can, and I'm sure we'll talk about them later. Thought they would be moving along fine, and then the pandemic came along. But more immediate, I think we have to talk about our firefighters, the men and women on the lines. They're really working hard, and my office is at the base camp, and I see the men and women of these different fire departments all the way from Southern California to way North California that are down here. Now, their own community's on fire, but they've spared because we in the past have sent firefighters down to help them. They're up here helping us. I was struck the other day, yesterday actually, I was looking out the window of my office, and a group of about 10 prisoners walked by. We have them out there helping us too. So I think, if you get an opportunity and you're at In-N-Out or McDonald's or whatever, and there's some firefighters standing behind you, pay it forward, buy them something to eat, give them a hug, forget social distancing for a minute, thank them, and it's really just been phenomenal, the work that they've done. The pandemic, we're over 17,000 cases right now. It has been a huge strain on our county budget, a huge strain. We're probably in excess of $250 million spent on this right now. I did not plan on a pandemic in my last year of office. It's really something that's been new to me, and I think it's new to the entire Board of Supervisors. We have over 250 deaths. Right now, we're testing about 4,000 people a day. State wants us to test 3,100. So we're doing good as far as that's concerned. We have our contract tracing group up and going, and our investigation team. They're at about 165 people right now, and we want to be about 300. We have about 1,200 hotel rooms in which we are moving people into that are maybe more susceptible, that are homeless, that are more susceptible to COVID, maybe based on age. And so we're trying to get people into our hotel rooms. I'm going to tell you, down in my district, it has been a huge problem. We've had hotels say we'll do it, and then they back out. We recently were able to secure a lease with a hotel here in Livermore, and we're still working in other areas. But this pandemic has been really a problem. I mean, we have meetings that go on hours talking about this and trying to figure out what we can do for the residents of Alameda County. If I could just say one thing, well, you just wear your damn mask. It's just not that hard. I mean, we all know we're good looking. We all know what we look like. Just put the mask on, show your eyes. Most of us have very beautiful eyes anyway. So, but I think that would help a lot. I have not always been pleased through this pandemic. I, first of all, have received more hate mail or hate tweets, hate emails over this issue than anything ever that I can remember. And look, I have duties in this pandemic, but I don't do the health orders. I can't influence the health orders. It's a state law that the health officer operates independently. And therefore, I've looked to ways that I could help business. I advocate for them in our Board of Supervisors meetings, which doesn't always go well. I pushed for the wineries to reopen. I've been pushing for the wineries to reopen. The best I got was a few months ago that they had to serve food, which then that became a problem for the wineries. And now we're going to we're going to announce tomorrow that we can open up the wineries, and I think it's by appointment. It's still pretty restrictive, but it will allow them to open up. I kept telling our health officer, look, with this whole deal with the salons, all you're doing is creating this huge underground market of salons in the garages and the homes and the backyards. And would you rather have them in their buildings or where you can monitor them, or do you want them in their garages? Take your pick. And so I kept pushing on that to try to get that going. I personally am not very happy about the amount of testing that we're doing down here in the Tri-Valley and also in the city of Fremont. I know the city of Fremont's mayor constantly is on me about testing. We're going to continue to work. We're moving more towards a mobile testing model where we're not fixed to one site, but we're going to be able to move around to test people. They've found that to be effective in other communities. So I think that's the part where I've had the biggest problem outside of advocating for business to open, because I have said, COVID is a pandemic with no vaccine. And until they have a vaccine, we have to learn how to live with it and not hide from it. And again, I go back to just wearing the mask, washing your hands, as Dawn talked about in the opening. The things that you can do, don't be reckless in your behavior. Here in the Tri-Valley, it took the 3 cities to set up the testing site at the fairgrounds. And then we helped with coming in with some money at the end that I had to fight for. In Fremont, I had to fight for the 25% for them to get paid that FEMA will not reimburse them. And I'm thankful to the city of Fremont for them setting up their own site. We, down here, don't have the problem that they're having up in the Fruitville area of Oakland, in Berkeley. They have more than half of the cases up there. And that's why they're also lower income areas. They're also areas of color. And as we know through the testing and everything, that our black and brown community is really struggling with this pandemic. They seem to get it a lot easier than others. And so we are focusing services up there, which we can't ignore down here. So I have to continue to keep my feet on the gas down here and make sure that we get what we can get down here. And I continue to fight. I continue to fight for small business. I'd just like to say that out of my own district budget, which I have a lot of money because I was able to fight for it in a budget a couple of years ago. And, well, I'll explain that in a second. I don't want to get derailed. But we took, I think it was about $875,000, and we put that into small businesses in Livermore, Dublin, and Fremont. All you had to do was ask for it. And, believe me, we ran out of money pretty quick. But look, we know what these people are going through. And it's heartbreaking for me when I'm in these board meetings and I'm fighting for small business, and I don't understand why I can go to Costco and have some guy climb over, me to get at the filet mignon, but I can't go to a boutique where there's only the shop owner in there. I still have a problem trying to understand that. And so I have been pushing to get these businesses open, yet the hate mail says that I'm not. And it happens. It's part of the job. Believe me, my skin was a lot thinner when I got here.
I know for a fact, as a Tri-Valley resident, and you have worked tirelessly, and you fought and fought and fought for the restaurants to be open, and open patio service. And it was because of you that the health director did change his rules and regulations on. And I got to tell you, every restaurant owner thanks you profusely for this, from Pleasanton through Dublin to Livermore, and also the residents, because it gives us an opportunity to be out also and have some form of normalcy again. Not entirely, can't go pony up to a bar yet and sit there and talk to the bartender and just say, hey, how you doing? But it does make a difference, and thank you, because you created more jobs again. You were able to get people back into the workplace.
I will say this, we have a new problem brewing, and that's winter.
Yeah,
and how do we
it's
deal
true.
with them? But they're still not going to let them go inside. How do we keep our restaurants open? So we're trying to work now. One of my favorite restaurants in downtown Livermore unfortunately closed. And, but he came to my chief of staff, Sean Wilson, and said, hey, we need to plan for the winter. How are we going to deal with tents? And so I had a discussion with our healthcare director and said, you need to go to your healthcare officer and start thinking about this and start developing policies. We have maybe a month or two before the rains come, and we need to be ready for this.
So as you talk about somebody closing up, I have to admit, personally, as a small business owner, every time I see an open, vacant building now, I get choked up, because I keep thinking that could be me.
You're right.
And what makes me so different? It's because I'm fighting also. And so thank you so much for bringing that to light, because it's a struggle out there. It's a true worry for all small business owners. So when we have the pandemic, and then we have the political unrest, and then we have the protests, then we have the thunderstorms, then we have the fires, then we have the homeless who needs the hotels, but now we need evacuees who need hotel. How do you keep your fight going? How do you keep your spirit going?
Let me just say this, Roberta, and that's an excellent question. And we started evacuating people out of certain areas within the county, of course, East County, and some in Fremont. And I have a terrific team, whether it's Colleen Chalwa, our healthcare director, Lori Cox, our social service agency. We have the day the fire started, our new fire chief started.
No.
I mean, I'll tell you, talk about retiring at the right time. I thought I did, but Dave Rocha appeared to leave right at time. He retired on Friday, and all hell broke out over the weekend.
Baptism by fire.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I told our new chief. But I will say this, that they kicked in immediately. And I believe that I have an excellent rapport with my department heads. They know that I will fight them, but I will never disrespect them. And so that's what makes them want to come down here and help. They may say to me, Scott, you know, you don't need the amount of COVID testing you're asking for. We need to focus up here and figure these hotspots out up in North County. I have to sometimes understand that we don't experience the gravity of homelessness and other things in our community that they have up there. So a lot of times I have to vote for things where a tremendous amount of money is going up into the Oakland area, but that's where the need is. And fortunately, the county follows the need. Where the need is, that's where the money will go. And my board will be very supportive in the evacuees that we've had down here, and we'll do what we can to help.
And that's why census is so important as well, right?
Isn't that the truth? We hammer on the cities almost every week. It's funny you say that. I was noticing we didn't send anything out in a couple of weeks, but we've been hammering on the census. You know, it's very important that everybody gets that filled out, because they're going to knock on your door and you're not going to like that call either.
So in the decades of your service to the Tri-Valley and really all the Bay Area, because I've seen you here, there, and everywhere, and you never miss a fundraiser and helping out. And I mean, you know, rolling up your sleeves, helping out, not just showing up and kissing babies and shaking hands. And I always want to thank you for that. But what would you consider your most significant accomplishment besides being a diehard Oakland A's fan?
Yeah, I guess the camera guy liked the A's part of it. Yes, we've been very supportive of the sports teams, but my mission as a county supervisor is really to help those who need help. You know, I've thought about it, and Roberta, if you don't mind, I'm going to give you a few, because, I mean,
How
look,
can you just have one in decades of
well,
service?
yeah, and I don't know how I can do that, and I'm not trying to be egotistical about this. I will say this, and I've contemplated whether or not I wanted to say this, because it's not a project. It wasn't a project. It was really, in my opinion, doing the right thing. And this happened about a year ago now, a little over a year ago, when the pride flag had become an issue. I will tell you this, that I think I got greater satisfaction in taking the lead on getting the county to hang the flag. That, I thought, was really something that, you know, shook my heart. But having said that, moving on to projects, I think I look back many years, and when I met Dermot O'Connell, and I'll explain to you who he is in a minute, because nobody knows who Dermot O'Connell is. But I met him, and he was the vice president of Tesla, and they were looking for a place to go, and they were on their way down south. And I called him, and I said, can we meet? And he said yes. And so we met in Newark, which I always remember that. We met at a Starbucks in Newark, and not in my district. But we talked, and he told me, he said, quite frankly, Scott, we've looked at that building in Fremont, and the problem we have with it is we only need about a third of it, maybe a quarter to a third, but you want to assess the whole thing. And I said, well, let's get the assessor involved, see what he can do. So I got Ron Thompson involved, and Ron Thompson, then he looked at it and said, look, we'll just assess what they're using. And from there, we've created 10,000 local jobs, 50,000 statewide jobs, and they're located here in Fremont. Now, Elon's not so happy with us, Board of Supervisors, and the health officer right now, so you know, who knows where that goes. But I think for me, the job creation was something that I felt really good about. Bart to San Jose, that came out of a mistake. That was an absolute mistake. I listened to Ron Gonzalez do his speech, and he said that he wanted to connect San Jose to Bart. I thought he wanted to extend Bart down to San Jose. He wanted to do an ACE-type service from San Jose up to Bart. And so I called him up and I said, hey, would you be interested in working on getting Bart to San Jose? He said, I'd love that. That was a misunderstanding on my part. But today, Bart is moving towards San Jose. I think that is really a tremendous accomplishment. I'm very happy about that. I think that when I think about things, I think about the Ed Campbell Bridge. This was a trail section that was missing that needed a bridge, and working with Laura Mercier and the Conservancy, we were able to put that bridge in place, and now that completes not only a trail, but it allows that trail to be utilized during the winter. Doesn't sound like much, but it was huge to me. I think that that's really something that we need to do. The Bankhead Theater,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Nancy Bankhead.
Yes, Nancy, believe me, she still rattles our chain.
Oh, yeah.
She has a lot of issues out there, but she's been a great supporter of the Bankhead, and working with Joan Sepula and getting the Bankhead built. You know, without a champion like Joan pushing to get it built, and that whole group, Phil Dean and some of the other names that come to mind, it wouldn't have happened. And I think that when we went through that landfill settlement, I think that even getting a much smaller landfill here in Livermore, but getting fees put on it that helped communities, helped our community that we live in to make things like the Bankhead for the people here. I think that was really good. And I think that as I kind of round this out, I'm very proud of the budget, and I am really proud of that triple. Not many counties have it. And when I got to the county of Alameda on a $1.4 billion budget, they had, I think, $1.8 million in reserves. We would have a lot more than that right now in reserves, or we would. But let me explain why I say we would. We only have about $40 million in reserves right now, but we've paid $800,000 that was in our reserves at one time since I've been here to apply to our retirement accounts, our OPEB liability, and we've paid that down. It's still, it was a $1.8 billion liability, but we've paid it down $800,000 because of policies that I brought forward to the board that said, look, this is how we should operate going forward, and the board went with it. So I'm sorry, long answer to the question, but there's accomplishments, and I want to say this, and I've said this before, all the things I talked about, all the things that I just talked about right now is not just Scott Haggerty. It takes a village, to get these projects done. Believe me, we did Vasco. It had 26 different funding sources on it. So you really got to cobble things together, and it takes a lot of people doing a lot of work. You know, ACTC, the Alameda County Transportation Commission, MTC, which I am super proud of because I'm the only person that's ever served as a two-time chair, and I'm currently serving as a chair. Last time I served, it was in 2008 during the downturn in the economy, and this time I have a pandemic. They probably would never make me the chair again because these things keep happening, but MTC, the state, all the federal work that comes in, there's so many people that helps make these projects a reality, but it's been a lot of fun.
With that said, then what kind of changes would you make if you could in governing or in transportation, which you just mentioned?
I think you said it, governing and transportation. Let me explain this to you. We have 26 different transportation agencies in Alameda County. We have, I think, let me run this through. I really don't want to be wrong, but I think we have two of the three elected boards in the United States. I personally believe we need to get the politics out of transportation. I think that 26 transportation agencies in 9 Bay Area counties is ineffective. That's 26 different executive directors, 26 financial advisors. You know, it's just 26 different assistants. We have to consolidate, and we don't have a choice. COVID has really affected ridership. Most agencies are down somewhere about 90% in their ridership. Most agencies, such as LAFTA, are not even charging right now because they don't want you to come through the front door by the driver. They want you to go in the back door. Well, we can't charge at the back door. So, you know, we have to, and this COVID is kind of forcing this discussion. And what I did about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, as the chairman of MTC, I pulled together a blue ribbon committee that, number one, looked at the CARES funding and how we were going to allocate it. This was the money that came from the feds, and how we were going to allocate it to our transit agencies that were hurting. And then also, I then said, look, I want you to look at consolidation. Now, I'm going to tell you, that went over like a lead balloon. I mean, you can imagine
Yes.
26 general managers looking around the room trying to figure out which ones are unemployed out of this. None of them are going to get unemployed. They're all going to find something else. But it would be the most effective way to run seamless, and I mean this, seamless transit in the Bay Area. We don't have seamless right now. You get off a bus, you wait for a BART train. You get off a bus, you wait for a ferry. It shouldn't be like that. You should get off the bus, walk onto the ferry, and we should be really more connected than what we are. We have routes, bus routes, running on top of bus routes from 2 different agencies. So when you ask me what would I change, I think I've been clear. It is the governance in transportation. I think that that's extremely important.
Do you think there's ever the possibility that we would have, let's say, for example, BART extend to Livermore? This has been a hot topic for many years.
Well, I think that BART extending to Livermore is over, and we knew that was over. I remember that sad night when John Marchand sat at BART, and we were told by the BART board, which at one point we thought we had the votes, but there was a BART board member who's pretty powerful and likes to dole out money to campaigns, was able to flip one of the votes, and we wound up losing. But that same person then said, look, we think Valley Link should move forward, and we think we should stop all planning and now start on Valley Link.
So you just hit on Valley Link. Can you tell us possibly exactly what it is and its benefits and its challenges?
Sure. You know, I talked to a group the other day, and we were actually filming a commercial for a ballot measure down in Tracy. And what came to mind for me is, you know, think about the 1950s when they were talking about BART. Just think if they never planned for BART. Just think if we didn't have BART. BART carries over 450,000 passengers a day, or they did prior to COVID. Yeah. That was 450,000 cars that would be on the road in our already congested roads. So we have to plan for the future. The unfortunate thing is the future on this project is now. We have almost 94,000 people commuting over the Altamont on a daily basis. 75% increase in the commute traffic by 2040, and 58% of that, 58% truck traffic will increase by 2040. So we don't have plans. You know, we don't have time to wait. We can't let the grass grow under our feet on this project. You know, people that live in the San Joaquin are commuting 28 days to get to their jobs a year. A year is spent, 28 days of that year is spent commuting one way. So that's 56 days, over a month, almost 2 months, that people are losing commuting to their jobs in Silicon Valley, here in Alameda County, Contra Costa, and San Francisco. So, I think we need to be, we're late. We need to start planning for this. But, you know, we have our opposition on Valley Link. You know, there's a group right now going around saying, if you support Valley Link, we will not support you. Our organization will not support you. Might be illegal. And I'm going to tell you, we have to go to ACTC to transfer that $400 million over to Valley Link, and that vote will come mid-September. But I'm going to tell you, anybody who votes no, who had the Sierra Club, who had the Sierra Club's endorsement, will find themselves in front of the grand jury, because that's not legal. You can't trade things like that. And I'm fed up. I'm really fed up. You know, I'm not quite sure I can say what I'm about to say.
You can. This is unplugged.
I know, but this is going to get raw. We are like the bastard stepchild out here when it comes to transportation. I have fought, along with others. Again, I haven't done anything myself, but improvements on 580, improvements on 680, building the flyover from 580 to 680. Any traffic improvement, any transit improvement we've tried to do out here, we've been fought by those up in the North County. And I'm done. I'm really done.
As a commuter, I can understand what you're saying. When I first started at KPIX back in 1996, I would leave for work at 2 o'clock in the morning, well, even a little before then, because I'd end up from, like, let's say Pleasanton into Oakland by 2 o'clock, 2:15 in the morning when the bars are getting out. And it got a little bit sketchy because I'd be the only one on the road. So I
Sober.
Sober, the only
Yeah.
one sober on the road. So I'd wear a hat so people didn't think I was just a woman driving alone at 2:15 in the morning. When I left KPIX in 2017, there was a trickle of traffic with me at 2:15 in the morning coming out from Mountain House and Tracy and the San Joaquin Valley. By 4 o'clock in the morning, it's bumper to bumper at the Bay Bridge. We are getting more people commuting farther and farther out because it's affordable. But as you said, they're spending like 28 days of their life on the road.
One way.
Yeah, one way.
So,
one
I
way.
mean, you know, so where are we at? We're looking at building Valley Link, and Valley Link is 42 miles. It'll have 7 stations. The cost right now, or the cost in a day of turning the shovel is $1.8 million. People think that's a lot of money. It is, but the cost is really $1.8 billion. I said it wrong. So it's $1.8 billion. That's how much it was going to cost us to build 5 miles of BART from Livermore, from Dublin Pleasanton down to Livermore. Now we're going to build 42 miles, and we're really going to start moving to where we can get people on transit. 28,000 a year by 2040 will be on Valley Link, riding on 15-minute headways where, you know, it's BART-like service. You know, I would just like to say at this point, ACE, BART, have all been very supportive of us. We're all working together. I've really enjoyed working with Dan Levitt and Stacy Mortensen. I think it's been extremely important. And I will say this, I was gratified as the chairman of MTC that we're going through our Plan Bay Area right now. And for some reason, even though, and this maybe talks about I'm tired of being treated the way we're treated, we were in Program 2. Well, Program 2 is in like 20 years from now. My other commissioners said, why is Valley Link in Program 2? Why shouldn't it? It's one of the best performing in relationship to all indicators, equity, greenhouse gas reduction, everything you can think of. Why is it in 2? Why isn't it 1? And so the commission told staff to move Valley Link up to 1. And I was really happy that happened, really happy.
Scott, can you educate me and others perhaps on EBCE and what inspired you to found and find EBCE?
Oh, I can tell you exactly, and I can tell you how this happened. I sit on the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, which in effect is a mouthful to say. But we looked at other ones, and we thought Bay Area Air District, but then that would equate to bad, so we decided not to do that. So we're still at the BAAQMD. And I was sitting at a meeting. It was a meeting that I was chairing, and a supervisor out of Marin County, Susan Adams, started talking about community choice aggregation. And I was listening to her, and to me, what it sounded like, she had started her own electric company. And so I met with Susan after, and I talked to her a bit, and I said, what exactly are you doing? And she explained it to me. And I thought, wow, that would be really cool to do that here in Alameda County for a couple reasons. First of all, this is not anti-PG&E, and I want to be really clear. It is not. But what it is it's where we as communities, now I will say that every community is now a member here in Alameda County except for Alameda, and that's because they had their own energy anyways, or in the beginning, because they had the naval base at one time. So they had their own energy company. So everybody, Pleasanton just joined, Newark just joined, and oddly enough, Tracy has just joined us. So we're now outside of our boundaries. And what we do is we provide the energy for the communities in Alameda County. We go on the grid, we buy them, we buy the energy, and we put it back in. PG&E still maintains all the lines, the transmission portion of it, but we're responsible for buying and selling the energy. The difference is, first of all, is we do sustainable energy. We're buying wind, hydro, other forms, solar, other forms of energy other than, a nuke plant or something like that. And we just had a big argument about that at the board. And we decided not to go with the nuke plant. But we also, although we have extremely healthy reserves right now, extremely healthy. For those of you who are listening, it's more than what the county has in reserves right now. But we put the money back into the community. We have given recently money to the food banks. We've given money to the cities to help them with their COVID response. We are going to be investing in more clean energy here in Alameda County. We're going to, Dawn just batted her eyes. She's probably like, well, I'd ask you the question about the solar farm. Yeah, but we invest in, and also, projects around your house that maybe will make your house operate more efficiently so you don't have to use more energy.
So perhaps we don't have to rely on a generator when our electricity goes out?
Well, not quite. Look, like I said, we buy the energy, we put it out there. If a power line goes down or something, that's PG&E has to come out and fix it. And if you go dark, you're going to definitely have to turn on your generator. You're going to need something to.
But what about if there's just the rolling blackouts or brownouts?
Still, we are as susceptible to rolling blackouts, because if PG&E turns off the transmission lines, they're off, no matter how much power we've purchased. But again, we're using sustainable, good, clean energy. And actually, I forgot to say this, because for the life of me, there is a small percentage of people that stayed with PG&E. They opted out of EBCE. But we've also taken a policy at the board that will always be cheaper. And so I don't understand. We're buying sustainable energy, and we're giving it to you cheaper, but yet you won't go with us. So I don't know, who knows what. But again, PG&E has a role. They continue to maintain the transmission lines. We have a role. We buy, and we issue the power onto the grid.
So just for my own clarity, what is the difference between going with EBCE or going with a privately owned solar panel group who comes and puts the solar panels on top of your roof?
No, you can do that. You can do that. But, and in fact, we'll help you do that. EBCE will be happy to help you put solar. We, being the Air District and being EBCE, will be happy to help you put that Tesla charger in your garage so you can plug in. There's things that we will do. We want you to maybe get to a place where you're in an all-electric house, running on the sun, and all your energy is generated for that home. That's what our ultimate goal would be. We're very happy with that.
So this next question is really a loaded question because of the pandemic, but to you, what are your thoughts about, as you are leaving, which just breaks my heart. It really does. As long as I've lived here, you've been here. You've been a fixture.
I woke up with you a lot of mornings.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you. That wasn't supposed to get out to everybody at home, okay?
Well, you told me how to dress, if I needed a jacket or not.
But I just want to ask you, what are your thoughts about the future of the Tri-Valley, its challenges with the pandemic? What are our opportunities, especially as small business owners?
Yeah. Let me just be super clear. I picked a really, like Dave Rocha, our fire chief, who quit on Friday, and the lightning storms came over the weekend. I think I'm leaving at a great time too. This is going to be extremely difficult for this county going forward, and this is not something that's going to be. I think the best thing that this county has going for it is we have been so fiscally prudent, but going forward, this pandemic has cost this county well over $400, getting close to half a billion dollars, this county. And they're going to have to cut budgets to make that happen.
So there's so many people right now saying because it's so difficult because of our cost of living in California, and I'm talking about not just the price of a home, but groceries, electricity, everything, transportation. You have people leaving for Austin, for Nashville, for North Carolina, for Idaho, for Portland. So how do you encourage those people to stay and have the faith?
Well, I mean, first of all, this is a great place to live, work, and play. I mean, there's just no doubt. I mean, you go to other parts of the country, you can never replicate what we have in the Bay Area, but you can never replicate what we have here in the Tri-Valley with our vineyards flourishing, with the wine, small wineries, the boutique wineries that are opening up. I mean, which most of those people are fantastic people, and they're really doing something great. Look, California is expensive, and it always will be. But like I said, I just don't think you can replicate this. I think that the budget's going to be a problem for us. If you ask me how I view this years from now, you know, we have a huge problem with cut-through traffic out here in the valley. I just bought the sheriff a helicopter out of my budget, and he can see, I think, license plates from 10,000 feet. So go ahead and try to continue to terrorize our roads back here in the rural roads. I know when Dawn was my chief of staff, she started a rural roads group, which we still go to, I think it's bi-monthly, and get our rear end shoot out of some of the behavior that's going out there. The frustrating thing for me is the sheriff is not the prime law enforcement out on the roads in the rural county. The CHP is. They've got their hands full on the freeway. But this new helicopter that the sheriff has, it's going to help response times out, and we're going to share it with other cities. It's not just a Tri-Valley thing, and we didn't spend that much money just for the Tri-Valley. But cities are saying that they want to be a part of it. I hope we have Valley Link. If you ask me to look into the future, I hope Valley Link is there. I hope we no longer have, 94,000 people commuting over the Altamont. I hope that congestion, I hope air quality improves. I think there's a lot of things that we put in place that will really help this community and help it to continue to thrive. One thing we haven't talked about, and I'm going to go a bit off topic. Look, we're in the census. Well, we did. We touched census just for a minute. It is really important that when we do the census this time, and why people in the Tri-Valley and why people over in Fremont, Newark, and Union City, why it's important to you is because I believe you need to have your own supervisor in the Tri-Cities, and you need to have your own supervisor over here in the Tri-Valley. And I think that by the census, by the count, that's how they're going to do the redistricting, which comes right after the census numbers are released. So this next supervisor has to agree, and it really hasn't come out in the debates, but has to agree that they want to have a Tri-Valley supervisor, a Tri-City supervisor, a middle supervisor, and then 2 supervisors scattered up around the North County. Reason for that is traditionally the North County supervisors always want 3 supervisors touching Oakland. And they still have that. Even though one supervisor, my great vote, he's a great vote for me, and my good friend Nate Miley, he goes from Oakland all the way down into Pleasanton. I mean, that is the weirdest district I've ever seen.
From Oakland to Pleasanton.
That's his district.
So San Leandro and Castro Valley.
Yep.
Really?
Yes. So it's a very interesting district. It really makes him kind of schizophrenic at sometimes.
Sure.
Try representing Oakland and Pleasanton, and then throw Castro Valley in there for fun. But this census is really important. The redistricting of this county is extremely important.
It is. Well, I have certainly enjoyed all this time. Just getting,
Done?
no, this is like, I feel like we're at a baseball game together, getting to talk. I get this private time
I
with
wish
you.
we were at a baseball game.
Yeah, I know.
Really-
How about those A's?
Yeah, they're doing great. They won again
Piscotti!
yesterday. My son has now talked us into the fact that it's okay to have the laptop on the dinner table to watch the A's game. So
Absolutely. And I hope we get to spend more time with you after you do term out. And I have to say, I wish we could extend the terms, but as you mentioned earlier, might be the best thing for you. So at this particular time, because of the great challenges, but I know if anybody could meet those challenges head on, that would be you. But I'm being selfish with my time here, and I need to open it up to some of the sponsors because I know you'd like to thank some of them here today, well, all of them, and you'd like to acknowledge other people here and also have some wonderful final remarks for this.
yeah,
Wednesday.
I didn't really prepare anything, to be very honest with you. Again, thanks to Dawn and the Chamber and everything that they do. I mean, this is a great opportunity. It is kind of interesting, though. I think it's 134 days now that I have in office, and I don't know who's counting. Maybe because I don't know, it might be 133. I haven't looked in a couple days, and maybe my math's not that good where I can figure it out. But this morning when I was getting dressed, I know there's that day where I'm going to get dressed and it's going to be my last day working. I know that's coming. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
But today it actually hit me that I'm running out of time. And then I look at my chief of staff and I know the amount of work that he's under right now, Sean Wilson, and all of my staff. And let me just quickly announce my staff and maybe make some mistakes. I did have a couple staff members bail on me here in the last few months, but I'm proud of that. I'm happy that because of the work they did for me, they were able to get employment somewhere else. So I do have some different names, but Veneer Bates has been with me from day one. I don't think she's ever taken a sick day, ever. And I'm just so proud of the work Veneer does. Then I have, of course, my chief of staff, Sean Wilson. He works so well with the people out here, and he's really working right now on a density transfer issue out here in the South Livermore that could really help with the wineries' need. We actually have less grapes planted today than we do when we started, and we need to turn that around. But they need the buildings, and they need what they need to be able to operate their wineries. And then they also, we need a destination point. We need some spas, and we maybe need a hotel. And if you can transfer density, he's working with the Sierra Club and others to make sure that happens. He does phenomenal work. His big joke is, I wish you worked for me, so then I can send you messages to say, handle this, and then the email's behind it, because that's what I do to him. And he does a phenomenal job. Then I look at Lawson Bell. Lawson Bell has been with me. I talked him into, I knew his father, Taylor Bell, was a great friend of mine. He died at, I think, 36 years old of a brain tumor. And he has this most smart, phenomenal young man. And I talked him into going to law school, which I know his dad channeled that through me. So Lawson's doing a great job. He does my transportation. Melissa Hernandez, many people know her, Melissa. She's a council member in Dublin. She does my healthcare and social services. And I'm not forgetting anybody yet, so don't start telling me, Sean. He's over there counting. I would shout out to Mary Ann Payne. Mary Ann Payne worked really hard preparing me for today. That's not always necessarily easy, but she also works on the Valley Link program, and she is very good because she worked for Bart for many years and she knows where all the bones are buried there. So, and then Denise Jacinto is in my, that you may remember Denise. I don't know if you ever knew her. She was one time married to Dennis Eckersley. Yeah. Big A's fan. I know you'd catch that. But she works in my office managing, keeping us all straight. So I don't think I missed anybody, Sean. I've kind of bounced around. Good, I didn't. But I want to thank them because these are all people that in a couple months are going to be unemployed because they work at will to the supervisor. And a lot of them are staying. I know Sean is highly sought after right now. Many people are offering him jobs. His dedication, he's staying here. He'll probably tell me when I get up from this table that he's quitting and got a job. Let's hope not. But so again, thanks to all of them. And I think it's important that I took the time to thank my staff. And I want to thank Amos Productions, and I want to thank Chevron and all the sponsors, ACE. I'm sorry, I don't have the list in front of me, but I can just remember. If somebody looked at their life at 20 years old and tried to figure out, if I did this, and tried to figure out where I'd wind up, I had no idea. And I'm going to tell you, And I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, but it's the Irish in me. I mean, when you're looking at retirement, that's not so easy. But this has been one wild ride, and it has been so phenomenal to be able to help people when they need it. I have a plaque in my office of one of the first girls that I had ever met, and she had brain cancer and she needed surgery, and she couldn't get the surgery. We called over to Stanford and said, is there something you can do? She got surgery. I mean, that plaque, her parents owned an engraving store, so they engraved a thing on it. Those are the things that motivate me, helping the people. So it's been a wild ride.
No, I understand that completely. My mother once told me when I became a meteorologist, which I was for 35 years, 23 years here in the Bay Area, 25 if you want to count San Jose, South Bay as well, before I went to Chicago. But she always said, Mija, people will not ever remember you as a meteorologist, but what you did with that position to help others. And that's what I always will remember, because I try to utilize my position to help my community. And you've done more than God's work here. That's all you've done here is help the people. You haven't lived by your title, but what you can do to help us.
Right.
So when you say retire, I say, he's not retiring. You can't possibly be retiring wherever you go. And if I may ask you, what are your future plans? You will be helping somebody somewhere at all times.
No, I've actually thought about that.
It's in your blood.
I will get bored. There's no doubt. I've been working since I was 12 years old. I got a job 50 cents an hour scraping gum off the sidewalk at the Fremont Hub Shopping Center. That was my first job. All the gum I could eat too. But I mean, I don't think I can rest. I don't think I can stop. So I've been thinking, I'll still kind of work in probably food pantries or help feed the homeless, things like that. I will not be in this community. I've thought long and hard about this. And although this is my home, born in San Francisco, 6 months later moved to the city of Fremont, I can't stay here and sit on the sidelines. That's not who I am. And I think whoever becomes the next supervisor, and I certainly have my hopes in who it is, but if one supervisor wins, I think I could. If the other one wins, absolutely no way. I could not stay here. So unfortunately, my home, I've made the decision that I have to leave.
Wow. Do you want to say what supervisor you want to win so you can stay? So we can all make sure.
I don't know if the chamber wants me to do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be unplugged, people.
Unless Dawn gives me the high sign and flips her thumb up, then, but I will say this. I think David Halbert would do a fantastic job.
Yeah, well, nobody will compare it to you.
Well, look, here's the thing. Let me hop back to Valley Link, and I don't know how we're doing on time, and I certainly appreciate it. But let me just say this. When these guys are getting interviewed, when they're getting interviewed at Candidates Forum, and they say, do you support Valley Link? And one of the candidates stands up, David Halbert, and says, I absolutely support Valley Link. I've been involved, blah, blah, blah. And the other one starts talking about saying, I support transit. No, he doesn't support Valley Link. It would not be healthy if either this person comes out and says he supports Valley Link, but just saying transit, yeah, I support transit too. But then there's specific projects outside of that. And I know the game that's being played, and the voters are being lied to right now. And that's what I don't like. Show some credibility. Say it. If you don't support Valley Link, stand at that podium and say you don't support it, and let the votes go where they don't. But don't try to pander the electorate, because they're a lot smarter than you.
Very well said. Very well said.
Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you.
I'm not sure at this particular time if we have anybody else who would like to say any last closing remarks besides yourself, but I've been here on behalf of the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce virtual wine event featuring you and your legacy and decades of your achievements, and just getting to hear you speak to your sponsors and everybody here today. It's been such a pleasure. I wish we could go on. Would we like any more, Don, or would we like anybody else to speak here today?
I think we talked too long.
I don't think so. We still have quite a bit of a fanfare out there of people listening in. Hello, everybody. I see you out there.
I didn't
If
know
could
you all
just
were
wave.
watching.
And look at that. Do you see them all out there? Hi. Look at they're all waving out there. This is wonderful. And perhaps, as we close up this event today for the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce, I would like to hear again from Harold.
Thank you, Scott Haggerty, Roberta Gonzalez, and Tim Sabrante. Scott, here we have an expression of our gratitude, and this is courtesy of the beautiful Garay Winery that we will be giving to you shortly. I want to thank everyone for attending today, and I hope you enjoyed the event. What a fantastic event. We will follow up with an email survey to you, and we hope to introduce you to more virtual programming in the coming months. So watch for the Chamber e-announcements. Stay safe, be calm, and carry on. We'll see you soon.